Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Hesse. I'm a member of your ASCA Board of Directors and I'd like to welcome you to this afternoon's NISCA track. I think it's one of the best things that we've done at this World Clinic over the last few years is partnering with NISCA to provide a track for high school coaches and give them an opportunity to learn from some of the best coaches in the country. And certainly we have one of those coaches here with us today, Dan Flack from the Barrow School and Baylor Swim Club, 5-time Tennessee High School Coach of the Year. His Baylor teams have won 5 national titles, including 3 of the last 4 years in the girls. Is that correct?
1 year we tied.
And I think I'm really excited to hear what Dan has to say. He's obviously been successful everywhere he's been at every level of coaching, whether it's high school, collegiate, or club. And if anybody's ever seen him on the pool deck, he coaches with intensity and passion and a lot of enthusiasm. And I think those are all qualities that each of us should emulate, especially in the high school setting. So Dan Flack.
Thank you. I asked this yesterday to start out my talk yesterday, so I'm going to ask it again. Is anybody up? Has anybody won money so far? Anybody? Anybody? Right on. Good for you. Good for you. Anybody like going to be in trouble when they get home due to the losses? Any? Let's hope we don't get to that point. I've luckily stayed here, so I'm even, which is good. Okay, this is my second talk of the clinic out here. Yesterday, I gave a talk that was very kind of nuts and bolts. It had a big explanation of weekly cycles and kind of what we do, sets we do, all that kind of stuff, trying to get your team ready specifically for a high school championship meet. Today's talk is going to be a little bit more broad, a little bit more general, in just explaining the kind of unique situation that I have coaching at the Barrow School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's a pretty unique opportunity. It's a pretty unique situation. It affords us a lot of, in my mind, advantages, especially on the high school level, that a lot of other programs don't enjoy. So we try to really use those advantages to our benefit. And it's worked out for us pretty well so far. If anyone would like a copy of either this PowerPoint or yesterday's PowerPoint, please come up. I know ASCA will be putting it out there eventually, but if you want it a little quicker, I can just email it to you, right from my handy dandy iPad. Our school at Baylor has gone this year all iPad. Everybody, all the students have iPads, teachers teach from iPads. So it's pretty neat, and if I know there's some people who would just crack up about that because as little as, 3-4 years ago, I was still the guy going to the kids that I meet, hey, let me borrow your cell phone. I get here, send this person a text for me. I don't know how to do it, and I still kind of hunt and peck. So for me to be running something like this off this is kind of fun to see. I want to thank NISCA for having me, and I want to thank the ASCA Clinic folks for asking me. And I'm going to talk a lot about my staff here, as you probably heard us cracking each other up. One thing that I think is very important with any staff is that you have a good time, and we certainly do. And I'm going to go into my coaches' roles a little bit more as I go along, but I want to thank my coaches, Coach Laura and Coach Brian, who are here, because without them, boy, I'd be up a crick, to say the least. Okay, I went over this yesterday, but a little bit of background on the Barrow School. We are located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. When I first took the job, people were like, where is that? And why are you going there? And I just kind of smiled and said, you'll see. I think it's a pretty neat opportunity. It is a day and boarding school, grades 6 through 12, give or take 1,000 to 1,050 students total, and about 200 of them, give or take, as high as 220, are boarding students, and we draw students from all over the world. It's a pretty unique opportunity. The swimming program, I feel, mirrors the school relative to numbers, relative to boarders, or in a percentage-wise. It's pretty funny in our local state. Everybody's convinced all our kids are from all over the world. And what doesn't help is, like, even our local kids from around the corner have some of those most bizarre last names you've ever heard. So, you know, our one girl who's pretty good and has been swimming, her family has been swimming in Chattanooga forever. Everybody, I think she's a girl from Russia, apparently. And I'm like, her name sounds funny, but it's not even a Russian-sounding name, but okay. So we get that a lot. We have a comprehensive team, though. We have a middle school team as well. That's the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And I love those guys. Like, somebody was giving me a bunch of grief one year at Nationals because I was wearing my middle school shirt all over the place. I love that shirt, and I love those kids. They crack me up. I like to play with them and get them feeling comfortable with me as they grow up through the program. Our facilities are top-notch. I'm not going to lie. We've got really great facilities. We have a 10-lane, 50-meter pool that we can have 24, 28 or so lanes going across short course if we want to. 2 bulkheads, 2 scoreboards, tons of seating, 2 boards, a high board. From a facility standpoint, you name it, we got it. Now, I want to say something. If your facilities stink, do not let that limit you in any way, shape, or form. Do not let that limit you. Because the program I coached before I came to Chattanooga was the Raleigh Swimming Association, and we were able to win junior nationals and become a gold medal club, and our facilities were not great, to say the least. It was a challenge. I think we spent about 30% of our time figuring out where we were going to swim all the kids from day to day. It was a huge challenge. Coach Dave Marsh, Coach Eddie Reese would come to recruit the kids, and I'd just smile and I'd say, so is it better or worse than I described our training environment? And we were all like, oh, much worse. Hey, it was so bad. I wouldn't even, we swam in a 6-lane, 25-yard summer pool that was built in, 1950 something? We had a bubble that was used, that was 20 years old and bought used when I got there. Some days it would be its own little ecosystem in there. You'd walk into morning practice and it'd be raining inside. I personally wouldn't let my own personal children go in there much. I used to joke with my coach Brian. I'm like, some days I'd be like, how many years do you think coaching in this place has taken off our lives? Just give me a take. My point is this: we were very successful, and actually those crappy. That crappy environment of facilities and this and that challenged me and changed the whole way I coached. The whole way I coached for the better. So at Baylor, we have awesome facilities, but if you've got not great facilities, do not let that limit you. I implore you. Make it make you think. Make it make you think. Sometimes I think I don't think enough with being blessed with the nice facilities that we have. We have an endless pool that we utilize quite a bit. Initially, the endless pool was used a lot for stroke correction, but now, and that was the original vision. Now I can't even get my kids in the thing because our swim lesson program, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, has just blown up with the use of the endless pool. It has paid for itself, 10 times over. Easily, and has become an awesome feeder for the program. So if that may be something you want to look into, if you've got some capital, et cetera, to really enhance your program. We have outstanding fitness and strength facilities. It's a 600-acre campus. Sometimes one of my favorite pieces of dry land tools to use with the kids is the campus, because there are some serious hills that are just no fun to run up and down. There's lots of opportunities to get out of the pool and do some interesting things with the kids. So that's a little bit of background on the school. Okay, our coaching staff and how it ties in with the Baylor Swim Club. Okay, this is my 7th year at the Baylor School. I am the varsity coach. I am the head coach of the Baylor Swim Club. I am technically the aquatics director, but I am not the aquatics director. Laura's the aquatics director. Anybody will tell you. She's technically she's the one. When it comes to stuff like that, they're not coming to me. They go to the person who's actually got the answer, which is Laura. Laura is our full-time office manager. She is assistant aquatics director. She works coaching as well with the varsity, with the club, and with the middle school teams. So she wears a million hats, and Lord knows we would not have an inch of the success that we've had without her, because she's also mom to all the boarding kids. They freely call her mom, and she invites them into her home, and she is so invaluable with the boarding kids, working on them with that transition to coming from wherever they are, whether it's stateside or from abroad, and integrating into the school. She's completely invaluable with that. I have a full-time head age group coach, which is Brian Gill. Brian Gill was with me for 5 years in Raleigh, and I remember I got a call from Baylor asking me about it, and we just so happened to be going out to have a little Mexican food that night, and I pulled him aside and I said, "Hey man, what do you know about Chattanooga, Tennessee?" And he looked at me, he's like, "Why? Where are we going?" Brian and I are a package deal. I often joke, we're not Batman and Robin, we're Batman and he's Alfred. You know how Alfred's kind of behind the scenes bailing Batman out a lot of times when Batman gets in over his head? That's what Brian does often for me. To say the least. But he is our head age group coach. He is the head of the middle school team, and he is our swim lesson coordinator. And again, our business and our swimming lesson program has just blown up, and it's all to his diligence and leadership. These two people, they work their asses off. Can I say that? They work their tails off and make my job a ton easier. I have another coach that coaches with me. I call him, he might as well be full-time. I don't think technically he is. He has another job at the school, but he's the one running practices back home as we speak, as well as running our the stuff for our football game. He runs our student center, and he is a huge help. His name's Tom Smith, and he's a huge help because he's kind of my eyes and ears up on campus. Now, as I've been there longer and been more of a part of the boarding community, I'm a boarding parent, I live on the campus, I've gotten to know a lot more of the general population of the school, but Tom, in running the student center, he's my eyes. If the kids aren't, at practice or in class or eating a meal, they're in the student center hanging out with him. So he gives me the heads up all the time on, hey, such and such is having a bad day, here's what you need to know. He's tremendous about that. And that's a huge help for a coach coming in knowing, okay, somebody just broke up with their boyfriend, so it's probably not the best day to crack the whip on them. He's a huge help with that. So he is, and then we have 10 to 12 either additional swim club, varsity, or swim lesson staff. So it's getting to be a pretty comprehensive group. When I started there, we were about 68 kids. What do we have now?
Last count, and I haven't finished, was 179.
So we're growing, and that's actually based on the demographic of the area. That's far bigger than I ever thought we would be. Now the area is growing. It's nice to be part of an area that's really growing. Chattanooga is kind of exploding. It's one of the cool, funky hidden gems of the South. We've opened up a Volkswagen plant that has really brought in a lot of opportunities for employment to people. With that, the Volkswagen plant opening up, we now have German being taught in our middle school and our upper school, and we have several now young German kids on the team. So Chattanooga is really expanding, and with it is our club. And like I said, the swim lesson program has blown up. Okay, so here's something I think is very important in developing any program. I was very fortunate to have a parent who, back when I was in Raleigh, the guy, he was thinking ahead of the curve. He made a gajillion dollars in the whole .com thing, and he retired. I mean, he was retired at a very young age. But he did a lot of philanthropic things, and he gave me this book one time. He said, "Coach, I think you could really benefit." And it's the book From Good to Great. And the basic thought process is that the best, or one of the biggest enemies of trying to be great at something is being really good at something. Okay? It's a whole lot easier to be really good. It's hard to be great. Okay? It takes a lot more time. I read that book and really got a lot from it. And staff-wise, and ultimately, when you're trying to build any kind of group, it's the people. It's all about the people that you have, okay? And one of their thought processes, when you're forming a group to work with, get the right people. They say to get the right people on the bus, and then figure out where they fit best. And that's what's so awesome about our situation. I was able to come in and, kind of mold my staff the way I wanted it. I took some time to figure out, okay, who is a good fit and who's not such a good fit, and moved on from there. The neat thing is, we all know our roles very well. We all play to our strengths, okay? And it's like each piece of the puzzle ties in together and really meshes for a group to be able to succeed. A prime example is, I'm the guy with the big idea. Okay, I always had the big idea. What if we did this? I'm always trying to figure out ways we can either improve revenue or whatever. And I'll say, okay, so Brian, I want to get this idea out there. Can we get this on the webpage, whatever? And 2 days later, or usually faster, he'll come back and be like, do you mean this? And I'm like, yes, let's get that out there. Let's get that out in the community. So I think it's really important to get the right people as part of your organization, and then find out where they can enhance your organization the best, and put them there and let them go. And we've had tremendous, thing that's really helped us is we have not had much turnover at all in our coaching staff. And that's great, because before I got there, especially in the age group level, there was a lot of turnover. And just, kids were getting taught literally completely different ways to swim each year, and, you're only going to get so good of a kid coming out. We have a real system now in place that has worked very well. When you're talking about our high school team, here's our basic philosophy on things. Our TISCA championship is a priority meet. As I described yesterday, one of the advantages, and this may sound odd, but one of the advantages to our program is we're not recognized as a sport by the state of Tennessee. So there's lots of rules that football has to follow relative to practice time and this and that. Basketball has to follow it. All the other sports has to follow it. Us and a few others, we don't have to, because there's no one governing us. Our Coaches Association, which is what TISCA stands for, its sole function is to have a championship meet for the state swimmers. And then aside from that, you can do pretty much whatever you want. You can run your season as long as you want. There's certain guidelines, but it's a pretty loosely run organization, which allows us a lot more freedom. I know last year I coached with Coach Lopez from the Barrow School in Peru, and we got to be pretty good friends and talked about, how just different our situations are from the structure of their state championship compared to ours, from the timing of when their state championship is compared to ours. It causes you as a coach to look at things a little bit differently. We have every color of the rainbow on our team. I said yesterday, we're one of the few teams at Baylor that doesn't cut. Obviously, you have to be able to swim, okay? But if you can work, and will work hard and follow the rules and do whatever, the way we have it set up, then you are welcome in our program. I joke, the fencing team cuts. We don't cut, okay? That's the truth. Because I had one of my advisees, I'm a homeroom teacher too, I'm like, really, dude, you got cut from the fencing team? Man, we gotta work on you here, pal.